Hello, everyone, and welcome. Uh, Thank you all for joining us today for the first webinar in Sustainable Conservation's People, Place, and Policy series. And this webinar is entitled Community-Driven Solutions in Fairmead. We're thrilled to have our panelists here with us today to discuss how collaboration, trust building, and resource access are essential to community-based solutions and how Fairmead's journey may offer a model for advancing water equity and resilience across California. Before we get started, I'd like to give many thanks to our webinar sponsors, Spotswood Estate Vineyard and Winery, Wilson Sonsini Foundation, Environmental Science Associates, and Holland and Knight for supporting our webinars and sharing sustainable conservation's vision of a climate-resilient California. I'm Aisha Massel, Program Director of Sustainable Conservation's Water for the Future program. In our fall webinar series, Sustainable Conservation and our expert guests will explore the important connections between people, place, and policy that drive lasting impact for our shared climate and water challenges. Today, I'm honored to speak with community leaders from Fairmead Community and Friends, a grassroots nonprofit organization in Madera County, California. As part of our discussion, they will talk more about their organization, their community, and themselves. But first, I want to begin with the story of how we at Sustainable Conservation got to know them and give a brief overview of the work we have been doing together for the past 5 years or so. So I first heard about Fairmead from a fellow nonprofit organization, the Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability, who were looking for organizations interested in developing groundwater recharge projects specifically for community drinking water benefit. And as a side note, for those of you who are unfamiliar with this term, groundwater recharge is the process where surface water seeps into the soil and recharges our aquifers. And ideally, we can target groundwater recharge activities to benefit community drinking water in particular. So in response to the Leadership Council's question, we at Sustainable Conservation, along with another nonprofit, Civic Well, said yes. And they introduced us to Vicky Ortiz and Ms. Barbara Nelson here online with us. We did some initial analysis and found that Fairmead could potentially benefit from groundwater recharge in their community. So then we approached the County of Madera to see if they might serve as the lead for a grant that could help fund the important work of building community engagement and developing a solid technical analysis to support further work in Fairmead. So Madera County agreed and encouraged the team to include land repurposing goals in addition to groundwater recharge, which I think was a key development in our strategy. And again, for those of you who may be unfamiliar with this term, land repurposing means reducing the water usage of irrigated agriculture through various approaches, such as transitioning thirsty crops to a lower water use crop or changing the land use entirely to provide other benefits, such as solar energy or habitat. And so as a team, we were successful in securing a California Resilience Challenge grant in 2021 from the Bay Area Council Foundation. And so thus began the first phase of the Fairmead Groundwater Resilience Project. And you can read more about this journey at our story map that I'll put in the chat shortly, the link in the chat. And so the project's momentum has only grown since we first started. In 2023, we secured a phase 2 planning grant from corporate donors via the Bonneville Environmental Foundation and added fellow nonprofit organizations, self-help enterprises, and the Union of Concerned Scientists to the team. And then most recently in 2025, we were able to work with a landowner in Fairmead to apply for and receive a $1 million Madera County multi-benefit land repurposing grant and an additional $400,000 in corporate funds for an on-the-ground project that aligns with community needs and preferences, while also supporting a local farming family. And we'll give more updates on that project as it gets underway. But throughout all phases of the Fairmead Groundwater Resilience Project, the leadership and the dedication of Fairmead Community and Friends have been the key ingredients. They are really the heart and soul of this work and bring expertise, passion, joy, and of course, lots of delicious food to everything they do. Before I introduce you to our friends from Fairmead, I'd like to poll all of you, our audience. And there are 3 poll questions. And so just scroll down if you can't see them all. And if you don't find your answer in any of those questions, you can always put it in the chat. And we'll just give folks a couple minutes to respond. A little over half of you have responded. If you can just keep bringing those answers in, then we'll close this poll shortly. All right, we're almost there. All right. So I'm going to end the poll now. I'll just read out, what I see. So the first question is, where are you joining us from today? Almost half of us are from the Bay Area, some in the Central Coast, and then about a fifth of us are either from Sacramento Valley or the San Joaquin Valley. Great. Oh, and then we have a couple of out-of-state folks. Welcome. For the question, what best describes your affiliation? By far, about 70% of us are from nonprofit organizations. That's great. We also have some folks from academia, from business. We have a student here. That's great. And then other. I see there's a bunch of chats that I've missed. So maybe I'll look in the chat. No, I don't see anything. Okay. And then how would you rate your level of knowledge on community groundwater resilience strategies in California? And so over half of us, about 2/3 of us, said average knowledge, and then kind of split between beginner and expert. So thanks everyone for participating in the poll. And before we get started again, I just want to say that during our conversation, if you have a question for our panelists, please type it in the chat or in the question and answer box, and I'll be sure to ask them of our panelists. So folks from Fairmead Community and Friends, can you come on to camera? I think folks are they're sharing one screen, so they'll be passing around the computer. Hello. And on camera, you'll see here Ms. Barbara Nelson. To the right in the turquoise, you'll see part of Vicky Ortiz. And then we also have Yvette Cooper-Smith, who's off camera right now, but will join. You can either turn it around for her. There you go. Hello. Thank you so much for being here today. So I'm going to start off this just with some questions. And this can be a free conversation, whatever you guys want to talk about, but we just have some prompts. So please, maybe starting with Ms. Barbara, if you can tell us a little about yourself and your background, and what is your connection with Fairmead?
Well, I was born in Madeira. Hey, this Friday I'll be 80 years old. Wow. So 80 years ago. But I've had family in Fairmead, at least the early 40s, I'm sure, as well as my husband too. I used to come to Fairmead because I had family here. We were in Madeira. And then in the 8th grade, I moved here and went to school at Fairmead School. And I went to Chowchilla High School, moved again. When I came here in 8th grade, that's when I met my husband. I married years later because I knew his family, they knew mine. Moved to the Bay Area, went to school, and retired back here in 2005 to help take care of my mom because she was still living here. So I retired back here and built a house, and I'm still here and doing what I do.
Wonderful. Vicky, do you want to say, tell us a little about yourself and your background and your connection with Fairmead?
Sure. So, I had to type.
Vicky, I'm sorry. Could you move the camera? Yeah, so we can see.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
There you go. Okay, so 18 years ago, my husband and I moved to Fairmead, looking to live in the for the country life, right? You know, after our kids finished high school, I've been a board member with Fairmead Community and Friends nonprofit for 11 years now, advocating for the health and social justice, safer environments, community resources for our unincorporated community. I quickly understood after moving to the country, it's not the same as living in the city. Uh, you're on your own and you need to deal with the county departments and the board of supervisors if you have issues with your water well, the roads you drive on, the air quality, and much, much more. I love it out here in the country. You know, now I can say I've lived in both areas in there, but it sure is hard work for this peaceful living out here. So that's my connection with Fairmead too. And I'll hand it over to Yvette's right there too. So. Can you see Yvette?
Yes, hello, Yvette.
Hi. Oh, my story is different from theirs. I came from Oakland, California. And the reason I came is because my dad asked me to come. My mom had a stroke in 2016. And he wanted me to come and assist my brother to help take care of him and my mom. And I moved here 2018. I had a child care in Oakland out of my own home for 29 years. I gave up and I came here. And this is different, like she said, living in the country. I never in a million years thought I'd be coming to live in the country. I mean, I would come back from the store or something, and there would be a lizard inside. I don't know about lizards. You understand? And the squirrels and just all of the country living was really different from me. But now that I am here, I don't want to have anything to do with the city. Even though we don't have any water. I love it here. I do. I really do. And I just want to carry on what my parents left off at. They was in this group also. So I just want to carry it on, do what I can. I don't know much about the conservation of the water or anything, but I'm going to run with these ladies right here.
That's great. Yeah, and maybe we can follow up with my next question. You all talk about your love of Fairmead. Can you share a bit more about the community of Fairmead? Kind of where is it and what's it like to live there? And you mentioned Yvette, especially about not having water. What role has water played in your community over time?
Well, I don't have any water. I mean, when my parents moved here, my dad's dream was to move here and live out his last days here because his grandmother, which is my great grandmother, brought them here to Madeira in a Lincoln Zephyr, 14 of her grandchildren and her kids. And this is where he wanted to be. I think he never thought in a million years he wouldn't have water. When we would come down here in the summer, our house where I live at now was like a park. He took pride in the grass, the plants. He took pride in his whole yard, his whole place. He did. He took pride in it. It just was beautiful. So, yeah, I don't know anything else to say, but it was beautiful,
So we'll hand it over to Barbara. She'll talk a little bit about the history there.
Fairmead's history. Well, I'm going to go back to Fairmead's history way back. Fairmead's over 100 years old. And at that time, Fairmead, people were moving here from different places. And so come to Fairmead. You could raise cattle with lots of water, and people came and raising cattle. Folks from a lot of African Americans came from the South. Some of them came from Southern California, Northern, different places here. And it was nice. They had a hotel. They had restaurants back then. And they had post office. They had newspaper companies. All the stuff Fairmead had over the years. But I think the Mennonites was here and started this little town. So it was booming. At one time they said it could be a place where the governor could live, you know. So, but here we are, over 100 years later, we don't have a grocery store. We don't have a library. We still have dirt streets. Some streets are not paved. We don't have lights. But most of all, we don't have water. My well's been out for a year. But what happened over the years, and maybe I'm saying it wrong, I know we need farming. I know we need that because that's how we live, the growth to have food. But I've been to a lot of meetings over the years where they were planning for the future of Fairmead. I've been there and they talk about the housing and what this and all that and the roads and they would build. But I don't understand why no one ever thought about the almonds and the trees that were being planted, that if you plant too many, we're going to lose out. And they were planted right up as close to this community. Mm-hmm. So then wells started going out, you know, so that makes a difference to not have water, you know, but we appreciate the county, the state. They do bring in tanks and fill our tanks with water and bring us bottled water. And we thank God for that. But we got a long way to go to get this right. So the connection with sustainable and this new part, what we're doing, the growth, it's going to help us a lot, you know, because we can be the example and maybe it'll go to our Central Valley of people that have waters and hope all this works to bring communities together for the future. Okay, Vicki.
Let me add a little bit more in there too, because we take turns. That's what we're doing. So, you know, and I jotted down in there, you know, just to give you a snapshot of a certain time when the drought started and everything. So around 2011, the big boom of as Barbara said, the almonds and pistachio orchards were being planted in the Central Valley, and Fairmead was no exception. Okay, next to Yvette's and my property alone, she lives one street over, 60 acres plus another 20 acres were planted next to and around our homes. And so everything was just all these orchards. And that's just that little square part of that street there. In 2014, Fairmead Community and Friends started to notice the drought was affecting our Fairmead residents. You know, we noticed that as a nonprofit, you know, trying to help our community. At this time, Fairmead Community and Friends still had monthly community meetings at Galilee Church where the residents were giving us updates of how neighbors' domestic wells were going dry and asking where they should go to get help. Now, this was in 2014. Okay. My own domestic well went dry in 2015. I was no exception. Mine went dry too. Barbara's is dry right now. I didn't know what I should do, so I called the county to ask when my well went dry. Their answer was, since I have a domestic well, you're on your own, is what they told me. I said, what do you mean I'm on my own? So you're on your own. So now I didn't have any water at all for my family. And it seemed to me that nobody cared. That was my initial thought as I'm on the phone with the county, like, you know, what would we do? But, you know, in all fairness, too, it was new just to the Central Valley in that those beginning years and all, too. So everybody was kind of scrambling. But, you know, they came to us as the group in the community for some answers, because, you know, sometimes we get lucky, we can find the answers, you know, to help them out and all, too. So the drought was affecting more and more domestic wells in and around Madera County. Fairmead residents approached Fairmead Fairmead Community and Friends each time a well went dry, looking for some support. They were still looking. So Fairmead Community and Friends and some residents went to the Board of Supervisors for help. Again, this is that time. The Board of Supervisors didn't have any answers for our water issues, but we expected some support and guidance. And didn't get it from them. I mean, they were just silent. You know, I know that it was new to them. We would have appreciated just some words of encouragement, you know, as them being leaders, telling these community leaders of what we can tell the residents, but we didn't get that. They did not have an answer. So at this time, you know, as Yvette had said, you know, her dad was, you know, part of the group. Her dad was not only part of the group. He was a founder with Barbara in there. He was one of the four that were that developed the nonprofit and had the idea to go forward for the community. So when we went to the Board of Supervisors, there was a public comment. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hand it over to Yvette, and she can tell her story. And then, Aisha, I think you have that clip of for the Madera Tribune. It was an important day, you know, for the group, and a turning point there too. So, yeah, you got it, Yvette?
Hi. Yeah, I wasn't at the meeting, but I heard my dad played a big part. Oh, that's it. Yeah. He played a big part in the meeting because he's a very, very, very emotional and guy. Very has a lot of empathy for everything. He really does. And it was touchy because this is where he wanted to, like I said, he wanted to live the rest of his life. And when he got up there and talked about the water, and this is a man that works on a farm outside every day, all day. He won't even dress up to go to dinner with my mom. He would keep on his overalls. So when he got to the meeting and he talked about the overall experience of not having water, he poured out his heart. And I think that touched so many people with self-help that they came out and they started helping the Fairmead Community and Friends. And this is how we get to where we are today, with my dad crying.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's my dad.
Yeah.
Very, very, very
Wow.
emotional. And yeah.
And that photo came at a time that we were you know, sitting in the audience, and he was up there. He went up to the podium by himself, but you know, that this compassionate man, he was not only just going up there to make a comment about his well was dry. He was talking about the other people, everybody in the community, but he started to tear up. So, you know, I went up there, Barbara went up there, and we stood by him. And, you know, so now we have a man that's showing this raw emotion, and the Board of Supervisors are just staring at us. So, you know, we said our comment, and then we were ready to leave. I mean, that's the whole point, is just give your comment in there. But so when we left and we're ready to leave the room, the director of the Madera Farm Bureau, tapped us on the shoulder and said, "Can we talk?" And so we said, "Sure." And they said, "You know, we can meet at such and such place and everything." They said they'd like to help us. And so that was great. So we met at a neighbor's house. And then she went in and she said that she'd like to help us. We already had a list of names and all of the people that had approached us earlier and said, "What do we do?" And so we knew we had a list of the wells that were dry in our community. So we gave it to the Bureau, and they started delivering that next week, started delivering pallets and cases of water for the amount of people that we had said. So the people would come around where we meet here at this mobile home, and on a weekly basis, depending on how many people were in their family, that's how much water was divvied up for them. And they would come the next week and the next week. So now the Farm Bureau, and I always like to tell the story because this is a very important point of this water storyline in there, that they stepped up, they stepped up and gave us that water, and they delivered it for 4 months, from August to December. So by the time that the county and the valley and the state and everything was starting to catch up, they were ready to take over and start to do this emergency services. So yes, I had to give them my list, but that was worth it. and all too.
Store.
What's that?
Bridge store. When we didn't have water, and how the bridge store, it's the store in Madera, how they contact us and offered us water. So me, my husband, and another board member and her husband, store in Madera, contacted us, said, come here. And they gave us water to help out in the community. So we were getting love and help from a lot of people. Not so much at the county right then, but I know they were working on it. I had faith in them. But a lot of people did step up, like she was saying, the Farm Bureau, the bridge store, just trying to help this community with the water situation.
Yeah. Wow, that's a really powerful story. And I've known you all for, I don't know, over 5 years. And it's great to hear the timeline and how things have evolved. And, personally, I've also experienced just, visiting you all. Just, it's hard for folks, let's say in the Bay Area, where most of us in the audience are from, not having water. It's such an essential thing that people just take for granted. And when you run out, it's almost unfathomable, how to deal with things. And so it sounds like people are stepping up. It might take them some time. The next question I had is, you kind of touched on it as some of the founding of your organization, but I really wanted to ask you more about Fairmead Community and Friends. How did you all come together? And what have been some key milestones? I imagine this hearing was a key milestone, but you do so much work in the community. I'm just wondering if you can just talk about your organization, the origins, as well as the work that you do in your community.
Like I said, I retired back here in 2005. But that wasn't the only time I was coming back. I was coming back to check on my mother. But after coming back and looking around Fairmead, and like I said earlier, there wasn't much going on. And I'm talking to people about people wasn't getting enough information. So I approached one of the ladies who lived in town and said to her, hey, what can we do? Who could we see? We need to do something. Is there any way we could start a group? We need what help? What can we do? So she said, you know what? What about community action? Well, I had heard of community action because my mom, they had a little community center out here, and my mom was going there where they was teaching the people art. My mother and my uncle, their education was that good, so they even helped them in reading and stuff like that, and just doing a lot of different things, get them lunch. So also helping with paying the PG&E bills. So it was a good resource. So she said, why don't we call them? So we called them, set up an appointment, went there and talked to them I talked about an idea that I had. Well, I want to make a difference in the community, but we need some help. We don't know how to go about it. So at that time, she said, you know what? We can help you. So she allowed us to work under their 501 and nonprofit. So we worked under them for about 6 years. So after we got started, Yvette's father and mother are my cousin. So I went to them. I said, hey, this lady and I, why don't we get together and get a group? You guys want to be involved? They said, yeah, they were already living here. I said, yeah, that sounds like a plan. Let's make a difference. So we did. So you know what we did? I got out and found some kids in the community myself. We planted up some flyers and went around, stuck them on mailbox, talking to people. Come to a meeting. We're going to have at the church. Come, try to make Fairmead a better place. What can we do? Come. So a lot of people came to that meeting that night. More than I could think of. We were so excited about it. And so I explained to them, what can we do? What do we need to make a difference? So yeah, let's do it. Just do it. So they start throwing out different names. What we're going to name? What should it be called? So I don't know who, whatever, but we voted and we came up with Fairmead Community and Friends. And I like it. It stuck. And at that first board meeting, we had about 20 people on that list, maybe 25. We started working and trying to accomplish some goals, and wasn't long after that, we got our white shirts and used to show up at the supervisors meeting. But we were working together all for the same purpose of making a difference in this community, and improving the quality of living for the people, and stuff. So that's how we got that name. Some of the things I think that I feel proud was getting that by, our own nonprofit, having that made us real good because here we are 18 years later, we're still working. Only 2 people are still on the group. One left, but one is still here that started with me 18 years ago. She's still there. That's Norma. One of them left, one came back. So it's a whole new group of people. But it's okay. As long as you work together and trust God, you can still get stuff done. And that's what we have done over the years. Another thing I feel proud about, we negotiated with the high-speed rail. We didn't want them here, but they were coming. They're going to take up some of this property here. So, well, wait a minute, along with leadership council and others said, well, if they're going to come in Madera County, why don't you see what you need? Well, we needed a lot. We don't have a community center, nowhere to meet. We don't have a park. Streets need paving, a lot of stuff, and green space. So we negotiated with them for a few years. And do you know what? After 8 or 9 years, High Speed Rail agreed to build us a community center and fix some of these streets and do some of this work. They have done things for us already. So along with Madera County and other friends we met on the way, we're getting there. We're getting the help. We're looking forward, hope to get that community center. But in the meantime, we met you. Sustainable Water and other people have came along. Leadership Council, CRLA, self-help, privacy assistance. We met a lot of friends along the way, and that has helped us and supported us. And that's what keeps us going, working together and trusting God to keep going and doing what we do.
Should we hand it over to Yvette? No?
Hand it over to you, Vic.
Oh, she's shy right now. Some of the key milestones that I can see and to share some moments that I'm especially proud about and the accomplishments and all is the fundraisers that we have, and not only just to make money for the group so we can have other fundraisers. It's something for the residents and the children, to come out to. And instead of being, what a sad thing for a child to say, we never do anything in our community. We just had a harvest festival here just a couple of weeks ago, gave out pumpkins, had games and all. Barbara started up our Thanksgiving dinner 18 years ago, and we're going to have that in a couple of weeks here. And because of the pandemic and everything, we have it's a drive-through now from 2020 from the pandemic. But all those other years, the group has made the dinner, got the donations, the turkeys, and had the residents come right inside that dining hall at the church. With tablecloths and everything, just to bring it as a community. But last year, in the previous years, 2-3 years ago, we've been getting around over 300 people coming through this drive-through. And so, again, we'll be working on that in a couple of weeks there. Not only the Thanksgiving, we have the Christmas gathering, toys and coats for our Fairmead kids. Barbara came out with a fantastic idea this year. Shoes for our Fairmead kids, to go along with the backpacks that we get. And we either buy it with our funding or we work with and network with the Valley State Prison out there. And they're very, very kind people, good, a community's friend in there. Sometimes they call us. We don't even have to ask them. And they say, what do you need? And so these backpacks get given to these Fairmead kids like in August, along with those shoes. The homeless people in our community, we're a small community, probably no more than 1,300 people, but there's still homelessness here. There's homeless everywhere, unfortunately. So sometimes we go out into the community and make a meal. Sometimes they come out and help us within our community. It's a win-win for everybody else. To make them a meal, give them some coats, some shoes, whatever that they need. But the whole thing of these fundraisers, and that I'm especially proud about, is, like I said, it's a quality of life. It's a quality of life to live in a community that have this to offer. And when I say the accomplishments of the community and Fairmead Community and Friends, they're one and the same. We couldn't stand out without the community also helping us as well. And as Barbara had said too, going to meetings is something to really be proud of. To go up against the high-speed rail, my goodness, that's an accomplishment to go in there. We've held them up a couple of times. And, but, I always say in the beginning, when we had to talk about the high-speed rail, you can't stop a train, especially not a high-speed rail train, So, but if we can get them to listen to us, and, we have a memorandum of understanding that they will give us a community center and do some other things as well there too. So we will have that community center / library here in the community. And let me briefly talk about that community center / library. For us to go out there without the county's help to ask the high-speed rail, okay, well, we won't put up a fuss. We don't like it that you come through here, but we need a community center. So we're fighting on our own, but the whole idea is to have that community center there. But who's going to take care of it after when we're not a nonprofit here? So we had to get the county to take ownership of it, and they wouldn't, and they wouldn't, and they wouldn't, and they said they didn't have a line item there in their budget to have a community center. But later on, after talking, I guess they found out they have a line item for our library. So they said, okay, we're going to call it the library / community center. That's great. But no, it's going to be community center / library in there too. So it's just being persistent in there too. So going to those meetings and speaking up, the public comments at the Board of Supervisors, it's not an easy thing to do. When you got, the 4, 5, 6 supervisors sitting there staring at you, and you're trying to complain about the water or the roads, and they're just going, but the best thing too is encouraging also residents to go to these meetings. It's not just our 9 board member group going up there. If we can encourage residents to go up there too, then we're doing our job as a nonprofit in our community in here too. So there's a lot. There's many things to be proud of.
Oh, those are wonderful to hear. And I'm just about to turn to community audience questions. I see a couple in our Q&A, and folks, if you have any questions or comments, please enter them in now. But before we turn there, I have one more question. But I sent you guys the list, and so if there's something you really want to talk about, just say it, because we're probably not going to get to all of the questions. But I was thinking kind of on this line of, working with local governments or state governments. I was wondering, how can state, local, or regional policies better support community-driven efforts like yours?
You wanna go?
Are listening to us. And, we felt like a lot of times they wasn't listening and ignoring us. But it's so important, even though we're down here in Central Valley, we're still part of California. We're a little small, unincorporated, disadvantaged community, they call us, people of color, low income, but we're still people. We have a community. We have children here. They're our future. So too much time went by before we got the help we needed, and what we had to do. Other folks stepped up before they did. But just know and listen to the people, listen to our pride. Giving the help we need to get the water and whatever else we need in this community. Because without their help, or without their support, we could end up not being here. But we won't let that happen because we keep going. We keep pressing. We keep talking. We are the voice for this community, and we'll continue to be the voice. Sometimes it just might be 2 or 3 of us out there, but it's a good thing we're here. They know we're here. We're not going anywhere. And we met so many, like I said before, friends along the way who care enough to come and support us and help us. So we keep going, we keep knocking, we keep talking. They used to say, keep that wheel squeaking.
Mhm.
So we keep it squeaking on whatever needs we need in this community.
If I could, let me add to that as well too. Your questions are community-driven efforts. What can they do better? The lawmakers, the decision makers, they need to have boots on the ground. Okay, they need to come and visit unincorporated disadvantaged communities like Fairmead, not just Fairmead, but other up and down the valley here. We not only, as Barbara said, we need to be heard. We not only need to be heard, we need to be seen. Now, what I've gotten out of this, what we've gotten as a group here, the best thing with the collaboration of sustainable conservation is the tours. The tours, you not only come alone, you bring a bus. You bring a bus of people that get networked, and they're tossing it around, and it's that was so important for them. And self-help used to did that a couple of times for water tours, and they bring a bus, and I understand, everybody, it helps them as well too. So but that was important, and that's when we seen that we need to be seen in there too. It gets the word out
everywhere. Yes.
Yeah. So that's how they can do that.
Great. Yeah, I was going to mention that, if you visit Fairmead, I mean, come with room in your belly, because they're the best hosts, always feeding folks. And, just hearing the stories and meeting all of you in person, it really does make a difference, I think, for people. Just like Yvette's dad, coming and showing the human side of these challenges that you all are facing. It's hard to turn away from that. So that in-person contact is just, there's nothing to replace it in this world of Zoom.
Yeah, really.
I'm going to turn over, before I go, Yvette, did you have any response to that last question before we turn to audience questions?
No.
Okay.
Well, I could say that the thing that I enjoy coming down here when I pass the church is I like to see that, because my dad put that fence around the church at Galilee. That was one of the things that I think he did with the community, giving back, and I like seeing that part. I really do. My dad was one of those jack of all trades.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of.
Great. So I'm going to ask a few questions. There are three. I'm just going to ask them all. We don't have a ton of time, but I'll start with the first one. Has the group come together to create alternative water and wastewater infrastructure?
I apologize. Could you ask the question again? I didn't see it.
Sure. Has the group, I imagine, Fairmead Community and Friends, come together to create alternative water and wastewater infrastructure? I think maybe this might be something to talk about, getting maybe the sewer water, maybe that's consolidated with Chowchilla, anything like that, or connections with the community well, perhaps.
Yes, with the sewer, the wastewater project there too. Again, there even before I came on board, they were working on the sewer project, and unfortunately, in the beginning, the residents didn't want that, because that means that we're going to have to pay higher prices. Yeah, and they said no. And then after a few years later, I believe it was self-help came out, and they said they were going to, start to work on a grant and see how we can get connected to Chowchilla. We're understanding that it is working. They're on their way. We were starting to get some quarterly reporting, and that's good. That communication is good too. So it's still been a couple of years.
But High Speed Rail also was involved in that. We must give credit where credit is due. High Speed Rail also was involved in that, negotiating, helping with that. And one of the best advantages about this, they had to get so many signatures, people in town who wants this sewage system. Believe it or not, some didn't want it, but I don't know why. But either way, you know, the whole thing is the high-speed rail has agreed for the first 10 years of this project of the sewage, they don't have to even pay the bill. I mean, that there's a plus right there. So with the help of self-help and others, you know, going around getting lists of names, turning into the state, hopefully this negotiation, like Vicky said, it's still going on, but hopefully in maybe 4 or 5 years, we'll see that connection, you know, we're praying we do. But it's a lot going on. It's a lot of needs we have, but we got so many friends, people like you and others who's helping us along the way to get this done. So the future looks bright.
And also in this, you know, I want to throw it in here before we do have to go off there too. You know, our experience with the Fairmead Groundwater Resilience Project, you know, there's been numerous great opportunities that Fairmead Community and Friends has experienced working on the project, from working on the stormwater control for community flooding to be proactive and understanding what a recharge basin can do for the future of our community. But you know, the best part of our experience with sustainable conservation is the mentorship and the friendship and working along and your visits and your visits actually to come out to the community. But that was such a great opportunity for our community to meet you.
And caring about a little town like this, a little place to hear about us and say, well, you know what? I'm going there. You came here. You brought, like Vicky said earlier, you brought bus loads of people. So to take time to care about a little town with a few people, about 1,200 of us maybe, it made a difference. It makes a difference. And we appreciate it. And we're humble for all of those friends we have met along the way who's still helping us to continue the future for this community.
Thank you guys for making us matter. For real.
Oh, you always did. You guys were really an inspiration, honestly. There's some questions here that there's some there are people who are wondering, you know, with some of the orchards being abandoned because they don't have water, kind of in the area in the Northeast Madera County, they say. They're just wondering if there's any recovery of any domestic wells, maybe with the drought being over. Have you noticed, has anyone regained any water access in any of their domestic wells, or are they all, the ones that have gone dry, are they still dry?
Well, they had to dig new wells. Those that who could afford it, they had to dig new wells. It's not that the drought, we got more rain and the water levels come up. None of that has happened. They've just had to dig more wells, you know. So some had to recover, but they had to do more digging.
And it is a process. We do understand that, being in the community with a sustainable conservation, you know, plan in the county here. You know, we just got a visit from the county asking us as a focus group, our group here, you know, what do we think about this policy that's going to be implemented for the mitigation of domestic wells being repaired, and the farmers are going to, I guess it'll be in their dues and everything in there. It's a little on the low side. You know, you take what you can, and it hasn't been finalized. We're actually going to go to a meeting tomorrow, a public comment, and say, so that it's caps off at $35,000. The wells are not $35,000 around here, but see, there you go. You speak up in all too. So it's a process. And back to your question in there, you know, no, it's not like a big load of people. A lot of residents got new wells. They can't afford it. Maybe the trees are still there. You know, who knows? It's this process. It takes a while.
Yeah. And then I have one more question from the audience before I have one final question for you all. So what, you know, this person is commenting on your persistence and just how important that is. But what advice or insights do you have for other unincorporated  particularly who work hard to represent themselves?
Not give up. That's it. Persistent. And I'm a strong believer in God. So I have to say, without his help and guidance, I don't think we'd have made it this far. So I have to give credit to him too, that he's ahead of our lives, but still going forward, just trusting and believing what you're doing and getting out there, knocking on doors, going before supervisors, whoever we have to go to, and trying to let them know the needs of your community, your people. Because if we don't, then we fail. We won't have anything. If we wasn't persistent and didn't care, what would we've done? You wouldn't have heard about it. Nobody. We just say, oh, forget it, let's let go. But I have to tell you a story. My time's up.
No, go ahead.
Go
I
ahead.
have to tell you a story when we first got started and with this group I did. And we didn't have a lot of places to meet, but I remember we met at my mom's house. And my mother was so excited. She always been a community person. She had a little Goodwill store and she would let people come there and shop and get their kids' school clothes and stuff like that. And people tell me that, I remember your mom, Miss Gracie. We could come there and get clothes or do this and that, or if it's a party or if it's a graduation. So she was so proud of this group we got started. And I had a lot of people in the house one time and I was sitting there and she said, what's the matter, Barbara? Barbara Faye, she would say. I said, oh, mother, it's so much to do. It's a lot. I just don't know. And my mom said, Barbara Faye, just keep doing what you're doing. As long as you're doing it right, you'll be okay. So that's what I do. We just keep doing what we're doing, trusting in God and going on and meeting people like you and others to be our friends. In the state, right now, they're helping us. They give us water, and we appreciate that. So whatever's been done, we're thankful from those who's helping us.
Yeah, wonderful. And then I just had one more question. I'm going to combine a question from the audience too, is someone says, can we see the full purple t-shirts? Are they available as a fundraiser? So that's an idea.
Wow.
Maybe
That's a good idea. And you know what? And let me tell you why we have purple. Because purple means royalty in the Bible. And I felt like we were a royalty group. And so we have purple and turquoise. But today, Yvette and I have on our purple because I think the last meeting we had, Vicky had on purple, I had on blue. Sometimes we do say, what color t-shirts we're gonna wear? And I'll say, wear so-and-so t-shirts. So, but yes, we have these purple t-shirts. Can you see it?
No, she's easy. I was gonna say, you better take over. And I don't know if you can turn around
yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, turn around in the back too. Yeah. Now we got to put some slogan. Can you read that in there?
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Team makes the dream work. So our next t-shirt is going to be what, Barbara?
Boots on the ground.
No.
Our next t-shirt, because I always say to this group, and like I said, I trust God, and I always say, we have not because we ask not. Mm-hmm. So that's what's going to be on our next t-shirt. That's what I'm in Jeremy.
Yeah. So, well, and so I guess kind of seeing, I don't know if basically what my final question for you all is, how can people help support Fairmead Community and Friends?
Wow. Even just listening to us right now is a support. You putting this out there. Donations, we need to keep going. We find ourselves sometimes like we're getting ready to do our Thanksgiving. We're getting ready to do our coat and Christmas drive. And we get help from Chowchilla at times. But last year, we didn't get the help we need. We started this shoe thing just this summer, which is a blessing. So, but donate, and just come and visit us if you want. And you could walk around our town, and we're always willing to make you a good meal.
I think we mentioned eating. I was going to say, I think we mentioned the last time that we met Aisha, is that yes, donations, like Barbara said, is very important. We have a website. I don't want to say that I'm embarrassed of the website, but it could use some work. So if I can get an intern or someone that could reach out to me, and I'm not sure where to put my email here, then that would be so helpful. Right now I just kind of got the flyers on there and don't have time to put it together. So, sometimes when someone's holding your hand, it makes it a little bit easier. So also even just an intern, we've had students from different universities, Berkeley, UCLA, that come out and they're just trying to get information in there and for their education as well too. So someone that's willing to partner with us in some way, that would be great as well too.
Wonderful. So we have in the chat some links, places where you can go to donate or just to get in contact with folks at Fairmead Community and Friends. And so, and we'll send a follow-up email, I think, with all this information as well to everyone who registered. So I know we're at time, and so I just want to thank all of you, Ms. Barbara, Vicki, and Yvette, for joining us today and sharing your knowledge and your experience. We really appreciate you taking this time. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. We'll be sending the recording soon in case you missed anything or would like to revisit the discussion. And please share widely with your networks. I know a lot of people probably were not able to make it today due to it being a holiday today. So please forward this to everyone. This was just a wonderful conversation. And so our next webinar will be on December 10th, and it will be focused on habitat restoration. Please save the date and look out for the official announcement soon. If you'd like to follow Sustainable Conservation's work, you'll see how to on the screen here. Definitely follow Fairmead Community and Friends work. They do amazing work. And thank you all again for tuning in, and many thanks to our great panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day. God bless.
I wonder how many people see
Bye.
that.